Peah Gimel Mishnah Dalet. I want to dedicate this learning again to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman, and as today is Yom HaShoah, to the memories of the 6 million who perished in the Shoah. Okay. Says the Mishnah. We're talking about different areas of produce or types of produce that are obligated in Peah. Says the Mishnah, Ha'imahot shel bitzalim chayavot Peah. What a beautiful idea. A nice little phrase. Imahot shel bitzalim. The mothers of onions. So what are the mothers of onions? The Gati explains mothers of onions are onions that are bitzalim b'nichim otam legadel zera. You just leave them in the ground because they're going to grow the new onions. So therefore, you just leave them in the ground. Says the Mishnah chayavot b'peah. The Tanna Kamma says, why are they chayav? Because they're edible. If you want to leave them in the ground, that's fine. But as they're edible, you have to leave Peah for them. You decide to do that. Rabbi Yossi poter. Rabbi Yossi argues and says, no, since you're leaving them in the ground, you cut them, right? They're not edible because you're using them for planting. They're seeds, essentially. So therefore, you don't have to take off Peah on those onions. The Mishnah continues. Malbenota bitzalim shebein hayarak. So remember, we learned this Mishnah. They used this drawing. These were trees. But now let's imagine that these are yerek. This is vegetable patches. So as we learned yesterday and a number of Mishnayot ago, vegetables, perishable vegetables that didn't last. You say tomatoes. Nowadays tomatoes last forever, but back then real tomatoes, if they're not pumped up with all kinds of God only knows what, okay, they don't last. They rot. So we learned that there's no Peah on anything that rots like that. Okay, so if I have, now these are tomato patches, and in between the tomatoes they would plant onions. I guess they would always plant whatever. They wouldn't waste any space at all. Okay, so these malbenot, these rectangles of onions between the yerek. Rabbi Yossi Omer Peah mikol echad ve'echad. V'chachamim omrim me'echad alakol. Rabbi Yossi says you have to give each one is separated by an onion patch. We're imagining it by vegetables. So therefore, each one is its own separate field, and you have to give Peah for each different field. Whereas the chachamim say no, me'echad alakol. You only give one Peah for all of them. Why? Because the onions were considered, the Yerushalmi says one reason is, this the Kahati explains, that the vegetables, since they're not chayiv in Peah, therefore they don't constitute a halachic separation between the patches of the onions. So therefore, if this is only just space, imagine these vegetables weren't there, they're not chayav in Peah, so therefore you just have one big onion field. And that's why you'd be chayav. In either case, these vegetables are not considered a hefsek according to the Chachamim, and they say you take one Peah on the entire field. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to contact me, rspalter@gmail.com. Have a great day.